And we're live. Welcome back to LOOPCast. Happy Friday. Happy All Saints Day.
Happy All Saints Day.
What a time to be alive. How are we feeling today, Josh? You're looking extra spiffy in the suit.
What can I say? I aim to please.
So this will be a fun Friday episode, probably a little looser than usual. I must admit, I had less time to prepare this morning. I did go to Mass this morning.
Yes.
And
make sure you go. Holy Day of Obligation, people.
Holy Day of Obligation, go. All Holy Saints, pray for us and pray for the Holy Souls in purgatory, of course. But so we went to Mass this morning, and we intentionally went to a different church because we knew there'd be a children's Mass at the other church. And I was like, okay, you got it. Those will go long. It gets a little, And then we go to this other church, and great church, and we show up, and I'm not exaggerating. There was a line of probably 40 children dressed up in the cutest saint costumes you could possibly imagine.
I love that.
And the entire school was in the church, and they wanted the school to learn about the saints. So they had everyone process in, and then they introduced each saint like as the child. And I'm talking some impressive get-ups. For example, I think it was St. Mark the Evangelist. A kid had a full beard on, which first off, we're talking kids were probably like 3, 4, 5, maybe, not very old. And to keep that beard on, very impressed. So I'm impressed with this guy. Holding a lion, full get-up on. And so it was adorable. I always love seeing the kids dressed up. But the story that I have to share today, I'm not sure how I feel about it, so I'm going to share it in the trust tree. So during this, my son is 2 and can't sit still to save his life. So I was walking around with him, and he's very impressive for a 2-year-old with his knowledge of Catholicism. He walks up to Jesus. He says, Jesus. I'm like, yep, that's Jesus. And he knows Mary. Saw Mary. Yep, that's Mary. But today at this church, there's a Mary statue stepping on Satan.
Yes.
And he's pointing at the snake, and he's like, what's this? What's this? And I said, oh, it's a snake. Unfortunately, he loves the show Little Bear, and the snake is no feet in it.
Right.
And
it's a good snake.
It's a good snake. And so he's just kind of like, oh, snake. Hi, snake. Hi, snake. And he's like in its face saying hello. And I was like, how do I break it to my 2-year-old that this is the father of lies? You know what I mean?
This snake happens to be possessed by the devil.
Yeah. So I might need to recatechize. Oh, Erica is going dark mode. It is dark Halloween.
It is. Yeah, I'm going dark today. The light just turned off. That's cool. If that's all that turns off this episode, I'm here for it. But
in general, are you guys... I don't think we really covered this.
You know what I think with Halloween? You know what my thought would be? Not that anyone would take my suggestions ever. But I would love to move Halloween to February 29th, so we have it every 4 years. Because I think this is such a joke. People, and then they ask me questions like, what are you going to get dressed up as? I'm like, what are you kidding me? I'm 47 years old. I'm not going to get dressed up as any. I haven't gotten up in a costume since the late 1980s. What are you guys smoking?
I got dressed up. I dressed up.
What were you, Erica?
Well, I have to give thanks to Joe Biden. I knew exactly what I was going to dress up. I took a big old black trash bag. I cut some armholes in it. I put it over my head and tied the knot. And I put all of I have like 50 I voted early stickers. So I put a good number of them all over me.
Right here.
Yep. And I walked around probably one of the deepest blue suburban white neighborhoods in Connecticut with all the Harris Walls signs dressed as garbage.
There might be neighborhoods that are more Democrat than yours, but yours are full of those white women winos who are like aggressively annoying, like the people that come on your ring your doorbell. Like that Amazon video.
That's where I live. Yeah,
we were walking. We did it with my son and a friend, and the beauty of it is it's like Trump's advice on alcohol and drugs. Like if you've never had candy, you don't really know what you're missing. So he didn't fully grasp the concept of the candy, although I was kind of laughing. When you do trick or treat, you see the signs of people and who they support. So of course you get the Harris Walls people, you get the Trump people, and I was like, oh, this is every 4 years issue, I guess. But basically, he would get his candy and put it in the bag, and then we just swapped it out for like a healthier sucker, like a non-preservative sucker or whatever. And he was chilling the whole night. It was great.
Good for you.
So
what'd you do with all the candy?
You know what was funny? My mom always told me that, hey, give us a portion of your candy. We're going to donate it to the Marines. I guarantee they didn't give it to the Marines. I don't want to be a conspiracy.
That's the most creative dad tax I've ever heard of.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, there's no way that I didn't think about the logistics of having to fly over on a chopper to Afghanistan to give the boys some Hershey's. So I guarantee that didn't
There
happen.
are hungry jarheads around the world that need this important candy. You know what? The thing is, in my town, they give away, I'm not kidding you, there's like a neighborhood, they're so rich, they give away full-size candy bars.
That's the play.
It's insane. And but my kids are like, let's go trick or treat. So I had a party at my place, invited a bunch of families because I was sick and tired of going up and down the street when
way to do it.
It's cold, it gets rainy and it's dark and I'm grumpy and I'm old. So no, bring the party to me. Here's the candy. Yeah, grumpy. Could you imagine that?
Josh, did you was your earliest memory dressing up as like an obscure politician or something? What was your first Halloween costume?
He was Teddy Roosevelt at the age of 8.
George Washington?
I guess I could have gone as Reagan because it would have scared the crap out of everyone in my Minnesota neighborhood, right?
Do you
I remember the bumper stickers, because it used to, the old thing is don't blame me, I voted for, that was a tradition for all through the 70s and 80s and all this stuff. Don't vote me, don't blame me, I voted for John Kerry, when you make, as an attack on George Bush. Well, it's like, don't blame me, I live in Minnesota, because it was the only state that didn't vote for Reagan. And actually, they stole the vote in Minnesota. That's cool.
Okay, all right.
True.
Erica, what was your earliest Halloween costume? Do you remember?
Oh gosh, I mean, classic princess. My mom sewed me this beautiful princess dress. I was probably 4 or 5, and it was like blue satin. I was the only girl.
Princess Leia? Because you could totally, you could totally kill
Space Buns.
Oh well, thank you, Josh. I know that's the highest compliment you could pay me. So there we go, Princess Leia right here. No, this was just like classic.
You have the look, yeah.
Princess.
Shout out to your mom.
I did poodle skirt one. Shout out to my mom. She's
Shout out to your
awesome.
mom. She's emailed in a few times. She's very well written. She writes very impressive emails.
She's an excellent writer.
I want to hang out with her sometime and learn how to play cribbage.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't even remember any of that. I mean, I'm sure it was like Darth Vader and stuff like that, but I just remember, like, it's like I was 14. Like, do I try one more time to go for Halloween? I just felt so old. I'm like, this is dumb. And it was the Halloween 1991 blizzard in Minnesota. We got 31 inches of snow.
Oh,
insane, dude.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, we had a chat bomb go off. So Doug Schmidt, we got a new puppy that we haven't settled on a name yet that loves to jump straight up and down without even thinking. I called him Pogo. That is stuck. Our new puppy's name is Pogo now.
We need a picture of this puppy.
Wow.
We need a picture of this puppy, the official mascot of the LOOPCast. Let's go.
Yeah, Doug. You got to send it a picture. LOOPCast@catholicvote.org. I will show this puppy. I'm sure it's adorable.
Gosh,
I hope it's cute.
Perfect.
What if it's like a really ugly one or something?
Don't worry about it yet. Don't worry. No, you don't have to worry about that.
We have a graphics team. We'll get AI on the puppy if it looks ugly.
I kind of love that. It'd be great to have like a little mascot jumping around the live stream every once in a while.
That would be super cute.
But he asked where I got the nickname Pogo. My last name's Pogasic. People at work call me Pogo. My mom is kind of iffy on it, but it's my.
Yeah, every time I try to send you an email, I got to remember it's like P-A-O-G-A. What?
Yeah. There's more to my last name. But yes, it's just because my last name's Pogasic. Shout out to the Croatians. Okay, so we got Halloween All Souls Day, funny kid story out of the way. Hopefully my son realizes that the snake is the father of lies one day. Don't worry, I'll get that into him.
This chat's kicking me. Pogo will replace Luce.
Luce. That's Luce, okay. Yeah. Another thing we need to address.
You should be the mascot. You should be the mascot of the Jubilee year. Here comes little Pogo.
All right, so I have another thing to get off our chest that shows collective chest before we get into the stories today. We might have been off on Luce, and I'm just unfortunate. I'll read the email and then we'll get into it. Hi, Pogo, Erica, and Josh. I was honestly a little taken aback by how vehemently you all attacked the silly little mascot. I come from a very traditional Latin Mass parish, shout out Institute of Christ the King, and our young adult group chat was lit up by the announcement, and not necessarily in a bad way. One of the guys even said, it's kind of cute, I'd say net positive. Are we necessarily, quote, inspired by Luce? Certainly not, but we're also not offended. It's silly and whimsical, though admittedly a total waste of Vatican funds. Maybe we're just jaded millennials and Gen Z, but I don't think we've all reached the point where we know the, quote, higher-ups in the church don't have any idea about, quote, the youths. It's nothing new, but at least it ain't James Martin levels of cringe. Too long didn't read. Latin Mass 30-year-olds from Connecticut are having fun with the silly little character. Oh, maybe it's because we're from Connecticut and we have to see much worse in most of our Novus Ordo parishes. LOL. Thanks for all you do. We might be old now. Is this the official declaration that we're kind of like old and curmudgeonly?
It's not as bad as James Martin. I mean, talk about low expectations.
We might be on. Well, the people like anime.
Look, I'm happy to be wrong, and I have seen some depictions of Luce arise on the Twitterverse of like she's defeating demons or she's casting, spirits out of a Planned Parenthood and stuff. And I could totally get down with that. That's awesome. Yep. My biggest problem, I stand by my criticisms, is that they chose this designer. It came out this week, Simone Legno, who's the founder of Tokidoki, which we talked about when we were talking about Luce. And he like designs sex toys with anime characters on them. My biggest problem is the waste of the funds and the money and the wasted opportunity. And again, we have amazing Catholic artists out there. Like, again, I'll bring up Baratus Catholic. Daniel Mitsui, the Japanese artist, he does amazing stuff. And we go with this. Couldn't we have a cute, like, anime character from someone who's actually in love with the church and Jesus? I don't know. Maybe I'm scarred by Rupnik. And so
but even the email, even in this email, she admits it's silly. Like, okay, so if something's silly, like, why should we be celebrating? Like, don't like it.
I think I might be back in on Luce just for the memes alone. Truly.
Yeah, the memes are cool.
The memes of Luce,
destroying heresy,
sitting around a fire, torching a little rainbow flag. That's cool. I like that. I guess
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I don't know. We might be old.
I'm okay with.
By the way, the whole old thing.
I have 7 kids.
I mean, what does that mean? I mean, dude, if I was 15, I'd say this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, but to be fair, Josh, you were an old man at 15.
Well, that's true.
You can't deny that.
Here's the thing. I don't understand things. Like, to me, video games, you play it as a kid, and then when you're 20 years old, like, stop playing damn video games. You're an adult. Like, get up. And then I'm in college. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I don't care. A bunch of these guys are like, hey, we're going to go to the Cedar Point amusement park. I'm like,
oh, no.
I'm like, why? Like, to go on rides. I'm like, what are you, 15? Like, no. Like, you're going to leave this college campus full of intelligent, beautiful women and go to an amusement park and play on rides? Like, you're just idiots. I didn't understand.
Oh, Josh, you're just coming out as anti-fun at this point.
Anti-fun?
Yeah, you might be anti-fun. Come on, dude. You never played the Wii?
I mean, I am still shocked by...
Don't lie. The Wii's pretty sick.
I mean, I played it for 10 minutes.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right, whatever. I'm alone in my Wii tape.
But the thing is, when you find adults, adults without children even, and not just gays, like adults that go to Disney World, and you're like, what? Like, why are you 12? I don't understand this. Grow up.
We've alienated a third of our audience.
Yeah. All right. I hope we haven't. No, you know what? It's kind of the magic of the podcast is we get to throw bombs and then people get to email me and then I get to see the fallout. And Josh is going his merry way. Yep. Okay. We got kind of a hodgepodge of stories today, but the first of them is that we called it, right? I saw a comment on the last episode. You guys called it first. He drove the garbage truck in Wisconsin tonight and he wore the vest at the rally. I mean,
yeah.
Let's just go initial observation here. The fun is back in the Trump campaign. Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
It never really left.
It never left. You know what? It did though, because in 2016, the fun was there.
Oh, I meant this year. Yeah.
Right. 2020, it felt like the fun got sucked out of the campaign and we're back. We're so back. Pulling up in the garbage truck with the vest on. And then this was funny on its own, but he gave the speech in the place with the vest on, which I could not get over how funny that was. Like just seeing the visual of Trump.
Did you see? I mean, the thing is, the way he talks with the audience is so endearing to the people. It's like, and I'm like, I'm not going to wear this vest. And they're like, no, you got to put the vest and go out there and talk. I mean, probably no one even said this. He's just making this kind of up, but it's just stringing it along. And they're like, I don't know. It kind of makes you look a little thinner. He goes, oh my God. And he's saying the whole thing to the audience, like, yeah, we love it.
Did you hear what the driver said about Trump? No. The driver of the truck that was next to him. He said something like, hey, we could go to McDonald's and, you could go back to where you worked. He's like, it won't fit in the drive-thru. I worked there once.
Oh my God, it's perfect. Just these iconic moments. We've got Trump leaning out of McDonald's, giving extra chicken nuggets. We've got Trump in the dump truck. And it's just great.
It's Trump fun. Truck. One side's clearly having more fun than the other. No question.
Doesn't mean that you don't have to go out there and vote. It's going to come down to the wire. So
yeah, no question on that.
But Kamala did have, I mean, you don't want to accuse her of having no fun. She did have Mumford and Sons open for her. And I thought, wow, they played their like 2010 biggest hit that was like talking, I can't say it out loud, but the lyric goes, I really effed it up this time, over and over again. So this is the opening song for his huge Kamala rally. And I'm like, that's sort of not the line you want to have.
They have like, decent elevator music, but they kicked off their band member 10 years ago when he
the
said
only
something.
good one. And now he's awesome on Twitter. I love it.
Because he said, Antifa was not good. Like, they kicked him out.
The irony was they kicked him out because they didn't want to, quote, get political. And now
they're playing for Kamala.
Also, I'm almost a little nervous, though, that they might win the 2012 election.
No.
So they got Mumford. But one ad that has been circulating, it's been a little bit of a slow burn. Erica, I know you said you wanted it to be your Twilight Zone a little bit back. And I want to watch it together. And there's a reason why people keep talking about it. It's about a husband and wife going to the voting booth if anyone wants a preview. So let's watch this ad. It's been going around.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this.
Oh my goodness. The thing with this, so I watch ads a lot because it's my job. The thing with this one, I was like, okay, I have knee-jerk reactions to these, really negative. So my first reaction to this was really negative, and I expected to go the way of all the other bad political ads I watch, which is after a few days, I don't even remember it. This one like sat with me. And I think the reason is that one, Julia Roberts is an absolute sick person, but two,
was that her?
Yeah, but at
that
least
was Julia Roberts.
What?
You know what though? At least we only had to hear her instead of seeing her. She's the most overrated. Oh, she's so attractive.
Okay, we're getting off.
Right, this is just going to be the episode of Josh.
I don't care. I'm saying it anyway.
All right.
It's Friday before election. We have no filter, guys. So get ready.
Erica has the floor.
The problem with this, I think the reason why it is such a bellwether for where the Democratic Party, the people who campaign for the Democratic Party, what they think about the family. This is the bedrock of society. As the family goes, so goes civilization. And they want to destroy it. They hate the family. They hate that there are marriages that are happy and normal and that work and that produce happy children. Because this ad is like, you go ahead, women, in the one place you have left where you can choose, which is a total lie. If you want an abortion, you can get an abortion in the United States. There are most states now, they still have plenty of options for you. So first of all, they start off with this stupid line. The one place you can still choose, you can go against your husband, that stupid white oaf who wants to control everything that you do. And then when you come out of the voting booth, you can continue to deceive him. You don't even have to be brave and tell him that you voted a different way. You can say, oh, yeah, honey, I did the right thing. And then look at your friend. I mean, this is anyone whose marriage is such that they can't talk to each other about who they vote for on these big political questions, especially in an election where the two sides are so vastly different from each other. You have much bigger issues than even like inflation, immigration, abortion. You have big issues in your life. And for them to just play this ad celebrating that there are marriages, that divorce is not a joke. And this kind of division between man and woman is not a joke. This is literally the end of civilization if this is where we are in the relations between the sexes. So it was a disgusting ad. It's sick. Whoever wrote this is a sick person, and we need to seriously pray for their conversion and work like hell to make sure that they never have power.
Okay, so my thoughts on this, of course, number one is that this dynamic did actually occur, except in the opposite. So 4 years ago, when we all had so many mail-in ballots, a bunch of women in the suburbs like, you're not voting for him again, are you? And a lot of the guys in the suburbs were like, oh, no. And they did what they were told by their wives, and they voted for Biden. That's what happened. If there was any pressure on like spouses, on the other spouse to make sure their vote went the right way, it was 4 years ago, and it was a bunch of women telling their husbands, while they had their mail-in ballots at home. You're not voting for Trump. You can't do that. You can't vote for that guy. He's despicable. And that's what happened. So now that we actually have privacy in the booth again, a lot of these men are going to go, boy, I'm in private and she can't hear me nagging and she's not over my shoulder. Maybe I'll vote for the guy that didn't send the economy into a tailspin. So, I mean, that's what's so laughable about this ad. There's a lot more pressure the other way. Number two, I love how much they respect and revere, Trump voters in this ad. Like he's just like this goofer guy with his hat, classy. Thank you so much for that. That's
because we're garbage. Remember,
right? Yeah. But actually, though, the goal of this ad, I would have to say, why did they do this? I agree with my friend Tim Carney. He said it's a reflection of the fact that 1 in 3 Democratic voters is an unmarried woman. Mm-hmm. And Democrats believe that this story can motivate those women to vote. That's what this is about.
Yeah, it's not for married women.
Well, Josh, their description of the Trump voter actually isn't the ideal picture of masculinity. That's actually Doug Emhoff, according to AOC.
No, but I mean, they're making the Trump guy look like a goober. Like, do the right thing, right, honey? Do what you're told.
Right. That's not real masculinity. Real masculinity is when you assault ex-girlfriends and get the names right.
Apparently, right.
And Bill Clinton and Harvey Weinstein and Epstein. Like, right.
I'm not exaggerating. AOC said that like yesterday. And this is well after all this well documented. It's just, okay, that's all another conversation. What bothers me primarily about this ad, and you guys brought up great points, I'm not going to beleaguer. Willful, like the music was almost a mismatch with the eyes, and I know it was kind of intentional somewhat, but it left me very unsettled because it's intentionally encouraging deception in general, but especially deception between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife. And you have much bigger problems as a husband and wife if you can't speak openly about who you're voting about in a respectful way that isn't going to lead to, I don't know what they're suggesting here, potential violence or argument or something like that. Right. And it reminded me so much. I know Tucker's kind of dramatic sometimes, which I actually love about him, but it was a little satanic in nature. Like to intentionally encourage deception as a good is evil.
One of the primary arguments against women's suffrage was that, well, you're going to divide families and, like husband against wife or whatever. It's like, yeah, thanks. That's exactly what this ad is trying to portray as a good thing. And I'm like, I'm not saying I'm in favor of repealing that, but it's like you're basically saying, yes, let's undermine the family. Yeah, It's just terrible.
I'm still a fan of the idea that you get 1 vote per household. People with kids get a vote per kid. No, just kidding. Because we actually have an investment. Like, how do you reflect that in the voting law? Like that people with kids have more of an investment in the future than people who don't. But I think too,
there is one way in which families with children get more representation. It's because if you have a congressional district where there's lots of families, they're going to, it adds to the population. Therefore, you get more representation that way. Unfortunately, that also happens with illegal aliens. And so states like Texas, Florida, California that have millions of illegal aliens, they get more representation in Congress. And states,
which is insane to me,
lose out on seats in Congress because of that.
Yeah, right.
Which J.D. Vance brought up.
Yeah. And a point that I wanted to bring up about the whole like deception and division in the family, I think that there is a place for disagreement between husband and wife, but it's the kind of disagree when it comes to policy and candidates. But it's the kind of disagreement that I would, have with my husband in a Republican primary where there's a lot of different candidates. The basic fundamental worldview is the same, the basic view of government. And like maybe I think this one guy would be a more prudential choice because he could actually win. But maybe my husband thinks the other guy has a better, view on pro-life strategy or something like that. Like those are the kinds of things a husband and wife can have a meaningful conversation about and respectfully disagree about.
Or work as a team.
And work as a team, right? Be like, okay, how are we going to strategize?
How about I vote for this guy in the primary and you vote for that guy? Like, sure, that's fine.
Yeah, see what happens.
But what's interesting to me though is when people. So I saw this ad and it actually didn't it stuck out to me in that it was evil, of course. But what first came to mind is like it shocks me that people marry someone that doesn't agree with them politically. And I know that does happen. I've talked to people who are vastly different on this, but maybe just my idea of what politics are is like politics to me are a reflection of what my belief of the common good is. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Erica, is like, okay, you could have some policy disagreements, of course, but then that would be to what you believe that the common good is. And if you married someone, and I know that they're talking specifically on the abortion question, right? Because that's being hammered by Democrats.
Oh my gosh, that's what Julia Roberts loves.
I can't imagine marrying someone who is not pro-life, or at least pro-human dignity when it comes to children, because that makes me nervous as a man that I would be entering into growing a family with someone that does not believe that life from the beginning has inherent human value. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't compute completely, because most people I know a lot of Catholic people, of course, they marry spouses with the intention of building families and raising holy children, eventually get to heaven. There's so much you have to agree on there that would eventually bleed into your politics. So it's always surprising. People are like, yeah, like my wife is super liberal, she's going to vote for whoever. I'm like, how can you even, I don't know, unless you have like respectful debates or something. But at that point, that would be enough.
I've always been surprised by that, because James Carville is married to Mary Matlin. She's a Republican strategist and he's a Democratic strategist. I'm like, I guess they're so in the game, like it's a different thing. But like and I'm so in the game. There's just like, there's no way. I mean, I just can't even fathom. Like, you don't believe that this little baby in this womb is human, that deserves. I'm sorry.
It's a litmus, because then every policy after that, if that's your belief on the earliest and the easiest of like truths, is that, then it's going to bleed into how you think about other issues. No question.
Absolutely.
So, and then the Democrats' other ads that I've been seeing go out are gross masturbation ads and then gross Plan B ads. So it's pretty obvious what they're trying to hit here. Not super fun.
They're trying to get low propensity liberal voters to come out and vote. And they say Republican congressmen are going to take away your porn. They're going to take away your ability to use abortion pills. So you got to vote for Democrats.
Sad. And then they get Andy Cohen and Ben Stiller to kind of aw shucks vote for Kamala Harris. It's just, I don't know the strategy here from the Democrats. We'll see if it plays. Okay, so one that Erica, I saw you had this in here. It was on the New York Times and Washington Post versus the First Amendment. And I first would like to congratulate Josh for being featured in this article. Congrats, Josh. Election falsehoods take off on YouTube as it looks the other way. And we have Tim Pool, Michael Knowles, Rudy Giuliani, Ben Shapiro, Tucker, and then Josh smiling in the middle.
That is photoshopped, guys. Just want to, for anyone in the chat, confused.
Obviously.
That's not.
It's not.
Pogo.
They put my photo over Steve Deese, and so now if he ever watches the show, I'd be like, "What is? Come on!" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, bud. I'm just a slightly more attractive bald guy than you. I mean, but we both root for Michigan, so it's okay, right? You know."
All right. So here's the actual article. Now that I've had my fun, we have all the people, talking heads over. Erica, what's going on with this article?
Yeah, this was really interesting. Ben Shapiro broke this on Monday. He revealed that he'd received an email from the New York Times, followed quickly by another email from the Washington Post, just hours apart. So we're 5 days out from an election, hours apart. He, and it turns out many other conservative commentators, start getting these emails asking them if they are aware of this Media Matters report, Media Matters being a leftist research arm that supposedly is like keeping us all honest or something. But there's research that's going to drop that's essentially saying that YouTube is making money with these conservative podcasters over election denialism. And so the grave threat identified by Media Matters and the New York Times, #brave, #stunning, is that Ben Shapiro once said that Democrats rigged voting rules in 2020 in order to increase mail-in voting, mail-in voting and ballot harvesting, which of course is just true, as confirmed by reporting in, wait for it, the New York Times and the Washington Post. And by rigged, Shapiro and all of these guys, as far as I could tell looking into this, they were very clear that they mean finger on the scale, right? This isn't saying that Democrats stole the election, and it was false and Donald Trump, really won, quote unquote, because all of them have multiple times said Joe Biden won the election, but it was rigged. But obviously the New York Times and WAPO, they do this hit piece that isn't just even pretending to be just reporting, but actually calling on YouTube 5 days before an election to censor all of these conservative guys who you see their faces there, Michael Knowles, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, to take down their shows before the election right now because YouTube's been profiteering off the grave evil of conservative viewpoints being disseminated. And Ben Shapiro points out, to YouTube's credit, they have just said, no, this wasn't disinformation, malinformation. And as it is, we aren't going to just censor these shows. The Washington Post piece was even worse. I'm just going to they claim that podcasts are ruining America. It goes, the Joe Rogan Experience, the Ben Shapiro Show, the Charlie Kirk Show, and the Dan Bongino Show are among 26 nationally prominent programs that have amplified unfounded assertions, which they actually quoted the Washington Post when they were making these assertions, including that the election will be rigged or stolen, according to a Washington Post analysis of episodes aired over the last year. And among Ben Shapiro's other sins, this was the last one I'll bring up, but it's just hilarious, is that he hosted Donald Trump. And in fact, a week ago, Donald Trump appeared on Ben Shapiro's show, and they didn't even say he said anything wrong. In fact, they didn't even really touch on, was the election rigged? Will it be stolen? They didn't even touch on it. But just the fact that Shapiro even hosted him is something that should trigger a complete shutdown of Shapiro's show.
Do we need to look in the mirror, guys? Podcast ruining America? Did we
open
the border?
Interestingly enough, the Washington Post lost so many subscribers because Jeff Bezos, the owner of the Washington Post blog, said, hey, you know what? Don't endorse anybody. So a bunch of liberals are like, wait a minute now. How could you not? This is the most important election ever. We got to end a democracy. Da, da, da. So a bunch of them stopped subscribing to the Washington Post, right?
Right.
So now the Washington Post is like freaking out and they got to earn some more money.
Of their subscribers left.
Yeah. So they're starting to do all these advertisements like on social media or whatever, where all these articles that are like glowing praise of Kamala Harris. And it's like, what the heck? All these Facebook ads are basically like in-kind contributions to Kamala Harris's campaign. I'm like, maybe you guys should be filing FEC reports because you're basically endorsing a candidate and spending money on their behalf. I have to do these reports all the darn time because we're spending money to try to get somebody elected, but they don't have to because they're the media.
Right.
It's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. I was talking to multiple parents last night who were also, oh, there goes the baby. If you hear the screaming in the background, pay no attention. It's the man behind the curtain, as it were. So we're sorry, I get distracted as a nursing mother when the baby starts crying. But anyway,
because you had to save his life one time. I mean,
yeah, the point, and of course, like these parents who they don't have their head in this all the time, they're probably much healthier than I am emotionally at this point. But they're saying, well, what about Lila Rose's point that like Trump's betrayed us on pro-life? And I'm like, guys, you have to understand what is actually going on here right now. This entire administration, if Harris Walls win, they want to shut down free speech. They want to censor any voices outside of the mainstream media. But not just that. What these stories show us is that the mainstream media also wants to shut down the First Amendment and free speech. And this whole like industrial complex of these, truth czars who are going to make sure that we all think the right thoughts and get the right information that we need in order to get in line with the Harris Walls agenda. It's a giant. This is what we are voting against on Tuesday or earlier, because I already did. Anyway,
Amen.
That's why I wanted to bring it up. We have to understand what's going on, guys. What's going on outside.
And then maybe one day we'll get featured and Josh's face will be in the
it's
New
a
York
goal.
Times
Hashtag goals.
We can reach.
The New York what? Don't care.
So I see some people buzzing in the chat about it. Yes, my day has come. JD Vance arrives on the Joe Rogan podcast. And I'm not fully done with it because it was like over 3 hours long. How I'm thinking about it though, and Josh hasn't dug into it completely yet. You're going to do some driving, so I highly recommend. It's like if you save a dessert for, a time where you're really looking for it. You put the kids down and, you got Monday Night Football or something like that. And the Lions are going to play, they're going to win. and you're like, I got this specific dessert I'm waiting for. Watching JD Vance on Joe Rogan is like watching MAGA 2.0. Articulate, authentic, thinks on his feet, gives great examples, jovial, normal, authentic. It's everything that I've wanted. And the Trump interview was fine. I'm not even I'm not even like an anti-Trump guy or whatever. It just is the prospect of having someone as articulate, smart, and authentic as JD Vance in politics is amazing. And I think my biggest point, and he's hit this on a few podcasts now. I think the one that really stuck out to me was he's talking about Ford back in the 50s, I think, saying that what they wanted to do, they wanted to align with American interests. They wanted their corporation's interests to align with American interests. And then he said, all right, now I want you to stop and think about any corporation right now saying a statement like that in 2024. It's never going to happen. And then also look at our most woke, virtuous company in America, Apple. What are they doing right now? They're using slave labor to build iPhones in China. Like, how does that interest the American people or people in general? And the approach
we can do something about it.
We can do something about that, and it's not foregone. And that the new Republican Party, thanks to Trump and the Make America Great movement, is to think, okay, how do we think about corporation and business infrastructure, technology from the American interest, as if America is a people that need to be protected, put first, prioritized in their jobs, in their everyday life, in their protection, in their culture. I mean, it's really like kind of intoxicating to think about, because that's just been so put on the shelf by every Republican and Democrat politician for how long, Josh? I don't even know if I've ever been alive for that.
Since
kind of
Nixon.
So
Nixon was the last one to really get it. I mean, I look, Reagan did a lot of things to make the economy better, but I don't feel he got it either. He was still much in that like sort of libertarian free market thing and not understanding enough about the identity of us as a people. And his amnesty plan was a disaster. You know, he got a lot of things wrong. And actually JD called him out on it. And I mean, I like Reagan. Okay. He did a lot of good things, but
wrong on amnesty for
the
sure.
last one who really got it, my man, Dick Nixon. Love him.
Do you catch any of it, Erica?
I did. Yeah, I caught I'm up to about 45 minutes in, and then because it was trick or treating night, I had to go to bed too. I was a little exhausted. Another sign of age, right? But no, I really appreciated. They opened up with just some, dad talk, and they're like bantering back and forth about the kids and like kids doing crazy things. And JD shared the story of when Trump called him, and he actually like missed Trump's call to ask him to be VP, and his kid was doing Pokemon or something. But it was just really normal and endearing, and I really could not picture Kamala Harris or Tim Walz having that kind of banter didn't go weird really fast. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So it was just really healthy and normal. And he told some story about when he got the COVID vaccine and how he hasn't had any boosters. And of course, the left is going crazy. They're like, oh my gosh, he never had a booster, blah, blah, blah. But he reveals that he got the initial vaccine, and he was sicker than a dog. And he said, I've had COVID at least 5 times that I've tested for. And it was never as bad as when I had the vaccine, and how that made him like stop and think. And he's like, I'm not getting any booster. So again, he didn't.
Well, the interesting thing on that point though is he's like, I had Senate colleagues that definitely had vaccine injuries, but were too hesitant to even say anything about it in fear of being labeled
for their career. I'm
so deep on the pharma stuff that none of that was even news to me. Like the fact that it's just us in New Zealand.
Oh, I'm with you, but before that, like the thing that bothers me so much about politics and also life is when people hesitate, when they know something is true, but they don't reveal it for fear.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't mean you should just be a jerk and just scream, but like live in the truth. So like, if you're a big guy on the vax, you thought it was a great thing, and then you had major side effects, just be honest about it. Like, I don't know what's so hard. And the fact that we have so much in our public life where we cover up things, or we don't want to reveal it, or we kind of bite our lip, and we belch out these, talking points that are perfectly, sanitized for your consumption. That does no favors. It's terrible.
Yeah, 100%.
But specifically on the pharma point, in terms of it's just us in New Zealand that allow you to commercially advertise, and that's not even really the idea that people are going to buy these products that you see on infomercials isn't even the point. The point is that 70% of all advertisement on TV is actually big pharma related. They have so much control over the narrative in terms of content. So yeah, good luck saying something that goes against them, because they're going to pull their advertising and all of a sudden you lose half your ad revenue. It's a security plan. And that's what I'm saying, dude.
Maybe we should, that's what Rogan floated to Trump. Like why are we one of the only 2 countries that allow pharmaceuticals to advertise their products and convince people you need to take this drug to make you better? Right. Maybe we nix that.
And what I say too, sorry, Erica, before you go, because it's easy to get really angry and upset and go down the rabbit hole on big pharma, as I have almost weekly.
Angry populist Tom. Good.
Angry populist Tom. But the flip side of that, and what I love so much about JD, is he's like, oh, and also, by the way, big pharma has done some really amazing things in terms of creating, he was talking about curing sickle cell disease potentially. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. We want to actually encourage, through legislation and policy, them to do this kind of thing. But if there's profit motive and incentive, and there's no fallout on them when things are going wrong, when they're creating weird things, then there's incentive to do things that won't make people healthy per se, or won't necessarily be safe for people. So I like that he acknowledged the positive, and I agree with this. There are a lot of great things that humans have done to protect people from disease, et cetera, and we want more of that. So why not just create the proper structures with the power of government in order to encourage the good and negate the bad? Like the idea that there's no liability for vaccine manufacturers right now, period. And thanks to Reagan on that, the Child Vaccine Safety Act, I believe that was 86. No one can sue vaccines based on injuries that are obviously from them. That should be gone, right? And we can do that. We have the power to do that. So I like that part. Go ahead, Erica. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say too, I talking about the decrease in trust in our institutions and how damaging that is, because what is it? Right now, the media has the lowest of all the massive institution industrial complex. Media is the lowest. I think Congress is slightly better than the media. I'm like, guys, when you're worse than Congress, you know something is desperately wrong. Right. But the medical establishment is pretty close, I believe, to number 3 right now. I have to check that number. Military is low too. But when you have these are, I think to your point, Pogo, these are important institutions in human society. We need good medicine. We need good government. We need good media, good information. And it is so dangerous to the common good and to the welfare of a society when you can't trust them. Like you said, there are really important advances that modern medicine has made. We think of the instances of childhood disease. We think of, even surviving a flu epidemic now. Spanish flu, my grandmother was born during the Spanish flu in 1918, and 30% of the globe died. Like, that's a lot of people. And so we need these things, and we need to rebuild that trust. And I think
such an important point.
Yeah, it is, because we don't want to just be like troglodytes and like, well, we could all just live as cavemen. Well, cavemen died pretty nasty deaths, guys. Like, I like modern medicine. I like the fact that I survived childbirth 7 times. That's really important to me. So anyway, I wanted to just make that point.
I like that point, and I think that we have pillars of society, and there's actually a lot of debate right now in terms of education, which hot button issue on this podcast if you're new. We have many thoughts, and of course, I welcome all of them because it is an important issue. I think we'd all acknowledge that. But for example, academia, media, healthcare, all of these are pretty much essential to modern society. And almost all of them have been captured in some way, shape, or form. But if you think about it in its purest form, media is supposed to inspire. It's supposed to teach people to love what is good and to hate what is evil, to tell beautiful stories, to inspire.
And to be courageous too.
Exactly. That's good in itself.
With truth, right.
Right. So books, movies, like a good Hollywood, think about how much good that could do for the country. Academia, colleges are supposed to be training the future to know what truth is, even below the college level, but the high school level, the middle school level, prepare people to live a good life, to live the good life. Healthcare, to treat the sick. I mean, these are important things. So I think there's many different stances on, I think it's easy to get kind of caught up in there's so much wrong. We got to burn it all to the ground, or we need to create other ones. And I think there are examples where it is good to create other institutions to replace bad ones that are rotten beyond the point of coming back, but to still acknowledge that a vacuum exists. If something goes down, a vacuum will exist that needs to be filled, or we can actually save some of these institutions. I was just talking to someone. I got a lot of emails about our stance on education, and they were saying that they were able to introduce to their state legislatures a classical education curriculum, specifically a reading list for the English literature. And the state legislatures were like, oh my gosh, this is such an awesome idea. Can we do this? Is this even allowed? Like, you're the state legislatures, guys.
You're
like,
the lawmakers.
You're in charge
of
this.
We elected you to do this.
And I believe they did. I can't remember. This might have been in Florida, but they did. And they actually introduced it as a part of the curriculum. So it's possible. I think many people just don't, either it's not on their radar or they know something's wrong and they don't have solutions. So it's important to always speak your mind with clarity, and especially if you have strong convictions, as we do on education, to really put that into practice. So I see that in JD. I do. I really see that in JD, and I'm excited about it. And that's why I love the interview. Josh, I muted you because you're texting the chat, your beloved chat. Did you have anything you wanted to add before I move on? Nothing. Sounds good.
Great. Okay. Thanks for playing.
The Maximus of the chat, as it were, Josh Mercer. Okay, so I promised FAQ Friday, and I've been bad on that. Sorry, guys, but I had one immediately that I wanted to address. So, hello, Catholic Vote, dedicated follower of the LOOPCast. In light of what we are hoping will be a Trump Vance victory, is it possible to begin segments on how to handle this with others who will not be voting for our ticket? I find it challenging coming from a town and state whereby many will not be good losers or relinquish the election to the Trump Vance ticket and administration. In addition, one can expect to encounter other Catholics who believe themselves to be well-meaning but cannot seem to let go of the ungodly venom towards Trump. Their platform seems grounded in hatred and not common sense. How do we approach discussing this victory with them? Do we offer them some sort of condolences that their candidate did not win and continue to offer them some positive points on the election? Trusting the Holy Spirit will enlighten us. Listening as best we can to their dismay, do we offer them the hope of Trump's conversion and point out where and how he had already shown signs of this? I have a niece who is a devout Catholic. However, in 2016, on Trump's victory, made an announcement. At that time, I am wearing black. I don't know how she has changed in the past 8 years, as we have not broached this topic, but I do not feel she is voting for Trump. Thanks for all you do. And I actually would potentially like to offer the flip of this as well. If Harris Walz wins, advice for that as well, because it's not over and it's very close. It could go either way. So what would you guys have to say to this question?
I mean, buy gold either way. It's,
Do you have provisions for 3 months in your basement? No.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have very strong opinions. I've been known to be kind of a jerk.
What?
I get that. But I don't feel the need to try to to get in anybody's face about stuff. People are like, oh my gosh, what must your Thanksgivings be like? Like with your extended family and whatnot. It's like, I mean, what? Like everyone knows where I stand, and I'm not going to be like in your face and dunk on people if I win or my team wins, or or whine and moan if my team loses. I mean, it's like, look, my daughter's got the button on her backpack. Become ungovernable. Like, just do it.
Oh, man.
Yo, that is so awesome. Okay. That was awesome. Didn't see that one coming.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like, there's no situation in which I don't think to myself, win or lose, like I am going to do everything I can to try to, educate Catholics on the truth of what's going on. I'm going to pray. I'm going to fast, and I'm going to try to be cordial with people, but like, I'm not for this sort of, faux civility, like, to me, there's too many times people think there's only two options. Well, I shouldn't say anything about politics or religion because I might offend somebody. And then the other thing where it's like, suddenly you turn 60 and like, I'm just going to be a jerk to everyone and scream my opinions because I don't care anymore. It's like, what if there's a middle way? What if you're just like, this is what I feel and I'm not going to be a jackwagon about it, but sorry, I'm not going to just, wilt like a little flower. I'm going to stand up for what's right. So I'm going to keep praying. I'm going to keep fasting. I'm going to support important apostolates, like my local Catholic high school. and that's, I mean, how is it not different? But I would encourage people to, again, consider getting involved in the local level. Find out what's going on in your neighborhood. The people in my town organized, we led with the whole Hide the Pride here with Catholic Vote, but the people in my town like go, yeah, we should do something about that. And they made enough noise that the library said, fine, we're not going to do any rainbow displays at our library anymore. Like, you can make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I'm kind of in the same boat as Josh. Like, people pretty much know where I stand on stuff. So there might be some side comments made at family gatherings or friend gatherings.
You have 2 years of video proof of your
I know at this
thoughts.
point, guys. But I think in terms of preparing on how to handle the beauty of being Catholic and having this conviction in Christ. And, we prayed the rosary this morning on the YouTubes with Catholic Vote. Brian Birch led, and I was blessed to be there. I'm doing the responses. And he made a remark before we started that, the victory has been won, and whatever happens on Tuesday, whether we're dealing with, sobbing liberals in our family because they think they're, Hitler just got elected, or we're dealing with the disappointment and kind of buckle up now, guys, because we've got some serious lawfare coming our way from Harris. Whichever way it goes, we are acting from a place of victory. As Catholics, we're always acting from that. And I think that gives us a lot of equilibrium and peace of heart that can enter into these conversations. If one of my liberal relatives approaches me, which I doubt will happen, and is like, I am so upset that Trump won, I just be like, hey, it sounds like, why? Why is that? Why? I'm fine. Why are you upset? But I think too, just like encourage them to wait and see what happens. Like, so you think Hitler just won? Let's wait, and then 6 months check back in on that feeling, because try to give them some peace. And I think too, like to Josh's point, a lot of people get really down about this stuff because they feel like it is so out of their control, and like the world is just whirling around them. That's why we have so much anxiety and depression, because we live in the social media world where we see these terrible things being said, and we don't have any way to combat it, and we get out of control. And I think reminding people, whatever their political conviction, although I hope that it's more conservatives who get involved, but that you do have ways of making life better around you and of being politically active. And
I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, your anxiety is fueled by the fact that your side is the one that's been trying to politicize everything and divide us. With DEI, you're the one dividing us by race. You're doing all these things, and you're like, how do we get this place where everyone's so angry at each other? It's like
the Obama line, yeah.
Oh, the Obama line.
I don't understand how we got here.
And I know
you racists.
Last thing I'll add on this, because we have more questions. And you guys brought up the point. You brought up the point that this election isn't going to decide the fate of the world. And being Catholic, it goes on. I would just say with family,
the fate of America, but
true.
No.
Or your soul.
Your soul, no.
But everyone's family dynamics are different. I always find it very sad that politics would keep people from still being able to be cordial and family. Like my family's big. We have diverse opinions in terms of the extended family. That's never stopped. And actually, I respect in some ways this in my extended family. Like every time we get together, it's always the best. Like it's never common. I know it's not like that for everyone, but JD Vance had a good line on this. He's like, if this election is going to like separate you from your family, like there's something wrong with that.
I agree with that 100%. Right.
100%.
We should be able to come together as a family, not beat each other's throats, and you can disagree respectfully. And if they really, I think it depends on intent. If someone is just trying to get in your face and be obnoxious, you're not going to really win much from that. But if they really genuinely want to see the perspective of someone across the political aisle as to why you think the way you do, why you believe what you do, offer a calm explanation of why you think it's good and what you're trying to work towards. And then I think almost always, and this happens to me on the podcast, like people respect that. Like they respect that there's thought going behind what you're doing. And then you come a little bit close together, gain perspective. So Josh, got to make it quick because I got more.
No, I was going to say something else, but I just wanted to give a shout out to another Erica in the chat. You guys are the ones who convinced me to quit my job in anticipation for the birth of our second child and to focus more on my home and plant my family roots in our parish. Oh. If that was the only thing that LOOPCast ever accomplished, it would be a success.
We can stop now. That's
successful. Take that, New York Times.
Erica, for sharing that.
Podcasters can do stuff. Thank you for sharing that, Erica. That sounds amazing, and you will reap the rewards of that.
Prayers for that.
I mean, she changed her first name to be after you, which I think is amazing anyway. And then to do
this
is even more.
I got a mom. No.
Oh, yeah, we got a puppy. Again, guy with the puppy, I believe his name is Doug Schmidt. LOOPCast at CatholicVote.org. Send me pictures of the puppy. I will display it. Okay, and then another quick one. Where do we go with this? There's a couple. All right, we're going to go NFL because Josh and I talk about it all the time. We got a question. Why are you giving money to the NFL? The NFL is actively anti-American, anti-police, anti-white, and anti-Christian organization. You could say Harrison Butker is a hero, but all he did was espouse views that every true Christian already believes. The NFL also actively denounced his beliefs and said it is not what they stand for.
I don't recall that, actually. I don't recall that.
Yeah, me neither. It boggles my mind how on one hand people can claim to be pro-American, Christian, conservative, and on the other hand actively fund the very organizations who hate us and seek our downfall. Boycotting all the evil anti-God, anti-American organizations is hard enough, but at the very least we can sacrifice consuming entertainment. It is the equivalent of complaining about your house burning down while throwing wood into the fire. We vote with our wallets as much as we do in the ballot box. You will not see another penny out of me if this is what you're going to spend it on. And this, I believe this was specifically in regards to the Harrison Butker sweepstakes we did with the Champions Club, where someone got to go into the box, into Harrison's box, and go on the field, get to meet him and go to a game and stuff. So Josh, what would you say?
Well, first of all, obviously, we didn't actually pay for that. Harrison Butker offered that suite as an opportunity because he wanted to support the vision of Catholic Vote and also his organization, which is his political action committee, Upright PAC. And so it's not like we paid the NFL for that suite. That was something that was worked out because the players get their, free seats in the games and all that kind of stuff. And so we just thought this was a great opportunity to get people excited. Now, in general, the NFL had done a lot of American flag and the knee, Colin Kaepernick and stuff like that. And in the black national anthem, which I think is divisive. And so now they don't even air that. They've kind of backed off of that a little bit. They're still doing that stuff, but they're not broadcasting it as much. I haven't gone to a game. I mean, I in like 10 years or something like that. So they're not getting my money directly. I suppose advertisers are seeing me watch the game, so maybe I'm indirectly doing it. But I'll tell you this: 97 of the 100 most watched TV programs of the last year were all NFL football games. 97.
That's
and so
crazy.
Why am I watching these games? I don't watch a ton. I mean, I joke about being a fan of the Vikes or whatever. But one of the reasons I do this, to answer this person's question with honesty, is I am not actually a sports fan. When someone says, like, "Oh, I'm a bigger fan of the Tigers than you," or "I'm a bigger fan," I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't watch every game because I have kids and I have other things I care about. But I do actually watch enough of the games so that I can understand what's going on, precisely because I want to react and understand more about my fellow Americans. If I want to go and talk to a bunch of guys about the importance of why we need to be Catholic and why we need to vote and do all this other kind of stuff, I can't go into this bar and chat with these guys and not know who Patrick Mahomes is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like, what? Like, who is this guy? Like, we need a man check here. So I watch these things. I understand enough about what's going on in the culture so that I can talk to them. So when they say, "Oh, Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift," I don't go, "What?" and act like I'm from another planet.
You a big Swiftie, Josh?
So, I think St. Paul himself, if he were alive today, would be up to speed on what's going on in the NFL, precisely because he wants to evangelize.
Fair.
Good answer.
Can I also just say, like, I think it's okay to say that, like, you don't even say to keep up with other people. It's the original reality TV. No one knows what's going to happen unless you believe it's all a script, which I do appreciate that.
After that Rams-Vikings game, I don't know.
Can't really be too mad about that one, but that's neither.
What are you talking about? The last play.
Neither here nor there. Okay, so my thoughts on the NFL, because I am actually attending a game this year. I will be attending the Lions-Colts game. I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's going to be
is
so fun.
the first NFL game I will ever go to in my life. So I'm very excited, and the Lions are probably the best team that's ever been. So my thoughts on it kind of goes back to my my statements about, like, pillars of culture, right? And in every society, there's been some sort of gamesmanship. I think back to Josh hates this, but the original football, soccer, as we call it in America, football being big.
Fun to play, boring to watch.
Back to gladiator times, although maybe there's a little bit more ethics involved with going to the Coliseum, of course. But with football, right? I mean, this is where culture is. And I see so many examples, especially in Harrison's case, where like it would almost surprise me for the NFL to really come out and be like, yep, I agree with everything he says, because they don't do that for anyone. If I remember correctly, they didn't do that for Kaepernick, although I thought, that was ridiculous. And the reason why they backed off on much of that is because there was a lot of people that were upset and voiced their opinions, and now that is largely removed from the game. So I think to see that your opinion and voice is heard in that regard, to make it something that we all want it to be, it's hard in America because there's people beyond Catholics that watch football, right? Mm-hmm. And there's, of course, people that make that their religion. But why I'm appreciating specifically going to this game is I'm going to be attending with my dad, my wife, my family members, being able to watch Lions games. I grew up watching Lions games with my dad. Like, there's an emotional connection to the city, to my childhood, and what I have now. And just to throw that away because, I mean, I don't agree with every statement the NFL makes or their treatment per se of Harrison Butker, I think would be a little bit short-sighted. And there's a lot that you can appreciate. And there's a lot of actually really awesome public displays of Christianity and Catholicism. For example, Harrison Butker with the scapular when he kicked it. I think of quarterbacks like C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels. Things for the community that people like Aiden Hutchinson have done. It's like it's a microcosm of life. That's why people love sports. There's a lot of virtue to be gained and learned from there, and that's why we all love it. So
yeah, there's a lot to be said for it. And we're right to try to expel these foreign elements of, bringing in the racism and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we want to get rid of that, of course. We want to harken it back to what it was.
Exactly. Yeah, not to give up completely on an institution. Not that I'll defend the NFL till I die or whatever. And you know what? If you want to boycott and you feel on your conscience that you need to do that, go for it. I wouldn't tell anyone to not boycott, but to tell.
Or they can make their case why we should, and that's perfectly fine.
Fair, yeah, but I wouldn't go as far to be like everyone needs to boycott immediately. I'd just be like, all right, you make the decision.
Or don't support the Catholic vote because of this ticket offer. That seems kind of crazy. Well, this is a movement of 600,000 Catholics across the country who are trying to affect policy, trying to get good candidates running for office, and educate Catholic voters. We need your help, and let's get going.
Yeah, and it's a broad tent here too. Like, some people like Luce, some people really don't like Luce. There's a lot of opinions in the various.
It is a broad tent.
Broad tent. Final question I'll answer. It's 3 people, and I believe they're in the 20s that are asking where my mustache went. I shaved it.
It comes and goes. For those of you who haven't been around for 2.5 years.
Thanks. Like, you lost it? Like, of course you shaved it. Come on.
No, I lost it. If my lips ever left my mouth.
Walked away.
VeggieTales. Walked off my face.
Just think about it. I could have come on this program with the shaven face if you had just bet me on the.
And again, I'm gonna have everyone thank me again because no one would want to see that, Josh. You're welcome.
Oh man,
you're welcome.
Trash talk.
We're in the trash talk segment now. Actually, no, we are going to move to the Twilight Zone. Josh,
oh man,
you got a Grabian file for me?
Yeah, I don't know how to show up, but like, this is an important point from Senator John Kennedy, the Republican one who's alive, not the Democrat who's dead.
Josh, you've been on kind of a heater lately with some of your videos. I had multiple people request for the video of the fake political ad.
That was awesome.
I'd like to commend you.
All right, well, here's what I got for today. Can you play it here?
I can.
Oh, love this.
Grabian, the multimedia marketplace.
Okay, Grabian.
Thanks, Grabian.
So I want you to go vote. I want you to go vote. Did I mention I want you to go vote?
Grabian,
Look at it this
the
way,
multimedia
folks.
marketplace.
If dead people can do it, so can you.
If dead people can do it.
Dude, I love. If anyone needs a pick-me-up, go check out Senator Kennedy's Greatest Hits. You won't be disappointed.
Gosh,
it's the best accent in politics.
Yeah,
whenever they have like a Judiciary Committee hearing or something, he's absolutely my favorite person to listen to just because of the accent. It throws you off because he's really sharp, but he throws you off. You hear it, you're like, oh, here comes.
He does the best rope-a-dope I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I just got a question. I'm no country lawyer, but I just want to know. And the judicial nominee's like, oh, this is easy. Whatever. Let's go. And he just pulls them into a trap, and they're all like, ugh.
What was the thing about crack that he says? He's like, gas is so expensive. I'm gonna have to take crack and run around everywhere or something like that. The best. There'll never be another like Senator Kennedy. No way.
He's a classic.
All right, Erica.
Okay. So I'm going to do this one. A reader actually sent this in, and I have lost the email, so I cannot call out the name. I think his name was David. But a reader sent this in and said, you really need to read this speech by Teddy Big Stick Roosevelt. And I'm like, oh, I don't have time to do that. But my brain is shot these days. I don't know why. Something's going on. Yeah, Pogo's got him on the back. And so I was just sitting there yesterday, and I start reading this. These were his remarks before the Mothers Congress in what year was this? 1905. So he's talking to the mothers. And this is great stuff. Listen to this. All right, I'm just going to quote. In the last analysis, the welfare of the state depends absolutely upon whether or not the average family, the average man and woman, and their children represent the kind of citizenship fit for the foundation of a great nation. And if we fail to appreciate this, we fail to appreciate the root morality upon which all healthy civilization is based. And he goes on. No piled up wealth, no splendor of material growth, no brilliance of artistic development will permanently avail any people unless its home life is healthy, unless the average man possesses honesty, courage, common sense, and decency. Sounds like Doug. My little side note. Unless he works hard and is willing at need to fight hard, and unless the average woman is a good wife, a good mother, able and willing to perform the first and greatest duty of womanhood, he's talking to me, able and willing to bear and to bring up as they should be brought up healthy children, sound in mind, body, character, numerous enough so the race shall increase and not decrease.
Is this a Harrison Bucker speech? Did you actually grab that from...
This is based, last paragraph I'm going to read. There are many good people. This is awesome. This is like Pope Paul VI probably took his notes from Teddy Roosevelt. There are many good people who are denied the supreme blessing of children, and for these we have the respect and sympathy always due to those who, from no fault of their own, are denied any of the great blessings of life. But the man or woman who deliberately foregoes these blessings, talking to you, Julia Roberts, whether from viciousness, coldness, shallow-heartedness, self-indulgence, or mere failure to appreciate aright the difference between the all-important and the unimportant, why such a creature merits contempt as hearty as any visited upon the soldier who runs away in battle, or upon the man who refuses to work for the support of those dependent upon him, and who, though able-bodied, is yet content to eat in idleness the bread which others provide. Mic drop from the Big Stick 120 years ago. I loved that. What an articulation of Catholic social teaching. Right there.
New show concept or no, new segment for the show. Erica finding cool literature and then ad-libbing people that.
Oh yeah, I couldn't resist.
No, it was awesome. I think we need to make that more of a regular segment. I very much.
All right, sure. I love listening to myself read great literature. So.
I think we need our politicians to be.
It's one of my things I do as a mom. I do all the voices for Winnie the Pooh.
If our politicians were 1% more like Teddy Roosevelt, we'd have a better country, no question.
Oh yeah, for sure. He was against birth control.
Yeah.
Well, of course, because he's the
goat.
No,
I mean, like he wrote a lot about it.
Yeah,
he's the goat. What is this? This is remarks before Mothers Congress. Someone was asking for the name of the speech. This was March 13, 1905.
We'll get that in the show notes.
Mothers Congress. Yeah, we'll drop it in the chat. Maybe. Yeah, Rosie can drop it in for us. But yeah, the remarks before the Mothers Congress, March 13th. 1905. As true today as it was in 1905.
All right, gang.
It's great. Really refreshing.
Thank you for that, Erica. And I'm going to bring us right back.
What you got?
So Halloween. Let's just start with my general stance on Halloween. I'm not a big Halloween guy. For perspective, I think I dressed up as a Michigan State fan for like 8 years just so I could get candy. But I was never big on the theatrics. And one thing I especially did not like about Halloween was haunted houses. And I heard you guys talk horror movies. Yeah, no. Never, not for me.
I don't find any redeeming value in them.
And I agree with that.
No.
But not a haunted house guy. I cannot fathom paying money to go somewhere for people to scare me. No, thank you.
Right.
However, I have found potentially the scariest haunted house ever. It's at the University of Michigan. We have the Lesbian Feminist Haunted House at University of Michigan. Scares students with political indoctrinators. Now, this is just a taste. I
Can you
can't
imagine
even
if I walked
really-
in there wearing my jacket like this.
I
Let's
mean,
go.
no. Well, it says on top of it before you go in, lesbian rules. So you get to experience what it's like in a world ruled by lesbians. And some
Same
of these
one we have now?
words, I think some of these are like ad libs almost, like someone just spun the wheel. But we have the University of Michigan is hosting a semester-long gender euphorium symposium featuring a lesbian feminist haunted house and drag performance by one of the public institution's own professors. That's exciting. Okay, so the symposium hosted by the university's Stamps School of Art and Design aims to make art and find queer joy within a present state of emergency through performances, exhibitions, conversations, and provocations. And then Saturday, it will feature an event called Killjoy's Castle Unplugged. Also, beef I have whenever you misspell things on purpose. Hate that. Creators describe the performance as a lesbian feminist haunted house designed to help participants unpack, reject, and critically recover feminist history for the queer present. And it's free and open to the public, which is kind of nice. Guided by a demented women's studies professor, view performers dressed as political indoctrinators and lesbian avengers. It's going to include...
Wait, I'm so confused. So is this like pro lesbians are putting this on? Or is this people
No, this is
trolling?
real. And the showcases will include things I can't even really say out loud on this podcast for sensitive ears. But I will just say in general, they did say expect nudity. Awesome.
Great.
So you won't be catching me there. That genuinely scarier than anything you could have cooked up. Like I'd probably choose an actual haunted house over that.
That's disturbing. Yeah. Thanks, Pogo. I'm really disturbed now.
Do we have anything? Yeah. Do we have anything to bring us up here? Do we have any? Or do I leave you on lesbian?
You totally just destroyed the.
That's why we need to go back
there.
to John
But
Kennedy.
It's All Saints Day.
If the dead people can vote, so can you.
There you go.
Yeah. What else do I have? I want to see if I have anything to bring us up here real quick. Oh, well, hey, I do. I have it. Okay. I didn't show this earlier, but this is at the Trump rally when he wore the vest. And he was talking about what he loves. And I just think the fun is back in the campaign. So just listen. This was a part I cut out and it might be my favorite part of political speech ever.
I love cranes. I love trucks of all types.
And my caption to that was my toddler standing over me at 5:30 a.m., which I'm not exaggerating. This is my life right now. He loves cranes and he loves trucks. And so does Trump. And we're so back.
His voice is
cranes,
so endearing
I love
to
trucks.
me. I love cranes. I love trucks. I love
and
trucks
honestly,
of all
same.
Kinds.
I do love cranes and trucks. They're sick. And we're going to build stuff again. It's going to be awesome. So that's what I leave you guys with on a Friday. We have a big, so let's think here. Monday show, Tuesday live stream. We're going to be live from 8 to midnight.
Don't miss it.
Although I might hand over the keys to Josh to take you late into the AM. I don't know how I feel about that. But we'll see.
Might be fun.
Might be fun.
I turn into a pumpkin around 10:30.
So are we doing, I don't know if we're doing a Wednesday show because we'll be up pretty late. I don't
what
even
are you talking about? You
got
to do Wednesday show. I'll do it alone if I have to.
Yeah, we got it.
All right. We're doing a Wednesday show. Josh decided with the recap.
The day after, of course we have to because we don't come on, man.
Yeah.
I apprate your commitment to the game.
It's a big week next week.
Yeah, have to stay true to the audience. We're here for you, brothers.
For the people, for the chat. But yes, we will be live for the election Tuesday night, 8 to midnight at the very least. It's going to be a great night. If you want to join us, subscribe on our YouTube. That is where it will be streaming primarily. You can hop in the chat. It's going to be everywhere, though.
And hit the bell.
Get notifications, all that good stuff. I'm really bad at asking for that, so please do that. If you want to email me, loopcast@catholicvote.org. I really do want a picture of this dog named Pogo, so please, loopcast@catholicvote.org is where you can do that. Leave reviews, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. They help us out a lot. Thank you for those. I've been seeing some more on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate it. Let's see. Pray for us. Always. St. Thomas More, Our Lady of Guadalupe, St. Fidelis, pray for us. Hope you have a great day. Go to Mass.
And all the American saints, pray for us and our country.